Learn more, be safe, leadsafeamerica.org. I'm Danny Sullivan, Now the Money Radio Weather Center.
Hi, everyone. Sunny sky, 72 this afternoon with light east winds, mostly clear, 43 tonight. Tomorrow, sunny, high of 75. Staff meteorologist John Weatherby, Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
66 degrees now. The Dow is up 348 points at 17,825. S&P 500 up 38 at 2,088. The NASDAQ up 97 at 5135. Reporting for Money Radio, I'm Ken Morgan.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Roth, and you're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We're a weekly show found right here on Money Radio, 1510 AM, 99.3 FM, and on the World Wide Web at moneyradio1510.com. We're coming at you live here on December 4th from the Scottsdale Air Park Studios. And if you're just tuning in, our show is about how our aging adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And the premise of our show is to bring outstanding guests to our audience so that they can really learn about some of the great resources that are here in our community and also learn about specific, whether it be disease processes, whether it be resources relative to how to pay for long-term care. Remember, we're on Money Radio, so financial, financial resources is something that is the main theme here, and bringing people on that have this core competency is what we're all about. So whether it be finance, whether it be medical, whether it be how to care for our aging adult population, and like I said, disease processes, we cover it here. So I've been off for a couple weeks. You've been listening to the best of Bob Roth's Health Futures, Taking Stock in You, and I'm glad to be back, but I wanted to share with our listening audience, I had a chance to attend a couple conferences that are relative to our trade and relative to our show about how to live a healthier, happier life. So a couple weeks ago, I was in Las Vegas for the home care show, and really we were talking about obviously our aging demographic, but one of the challenges that so many home care companies have out there is finding really good caregivers. And one of the best of shows I played for you 2 weeks ago was one of our caregivers talking about how rewarding it is. And I just want to put a shout out there because caregiving is such an incredibly rewarding experience. And we are looking for caregivers, but so are families looking for caregivers. And last month was National Family Caregiving Month. And I wanted to take a moment on a couple of those episodes just to pause and salute those unsung heroes, the sacrifices that they make. But if you're tuning in and you're listening in right now and you or somebody you know has a caring spirit, a caring heart, wants to make a difference in somebody's life, at Cypress Home Care Solutions, we are looking for you, or we're looking for someone that you know. Caregivers are hard to come by, and really good caregivers are even harder to come by. But coming to Cypress Home Care, we're coming up on 22 years. We take care of our caregivers. We pay them well. We don't have to have the Affordable Care Act to tell us that we need to offer insurance. We'll be offering insurance. We've been offering all kinds of things to our caregivers because they truly are who Cypress is. They truly are our heart. The other conference that I went to was a conference called Aging 2.0. And I must tell you, you've heard it on the show. I mean, growing old is not easy. And, the fact that we got 10,000 people a day turning 65 and the challenges they run into, some of our discussions are not very pleasant that we have, especially the ones we have with the families that we care for and the requirements that they need. So I will tell you, I was inspired because this was the Silicon Valley, and there were all kinds of young PhDs that are trying to figure out how our aging adult population can exist at home. And the technologies ranged from robots to artificial intelligence. And I was just sharing with my guests, one of the guys that was there, he was a young PhD. He was probably 27, 28 years old. And he had developed a belt that had a device in it that could detect if somebody was falling, and it would deploy an airbag. It's just amazing. We are trying, and we are coming up with new ways that our aging adult population can live out their life as safely as possible. And in that vein, today I want to talk about how our aging adult population can live out their life utilizing some of the programs that Cypress has just recently come up with. And I have a special guest here today, no different from my other guests, but this person's very special because she works for Cypress Home Care Solutions. And I want to welcome to our listening audience, Michelle Toft. Michelle, welcome to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You.
Oh, it's exciting to be here. Thank you.
And it's exciting to talk about some of the things that you are doing and you are participating in. So, I want you just to, if you could, walk through for our listening audience, what is Cypress doing now? What are we doing today besides providing exceptional care in the home and affording so many of our aging adult population to age successfully in place and have somebody assist them to doing that?
Cypress has started an amazing program to help family members of people diagnosed with dementia keep them at home and help them have productive days at home. It's a training program that is like nothing else I've ever seen, where I actually get to go into somebody's house and I have the privilege of helping a family member understand where their loved one is in the disease process, understand what their day needs to look like for structure and routine, and then get a lot of case management support when there are problems, a lot of help through the process. And if they want to use a caregiver for respite, the caregiver's specially trained as well. So it's a seamless service where a person can stay at home, be comfortable in their environment, but continue to have really meaningful, purposeful days.
And celebrate who they are.
Right, absolutely. We're talking about having somebody who is a previous doctor really be able to manage medications safely and use their time maybe sorting out their own medications and managing that. I have another lady who was an artist, and so being able to spend the time talking about her art and celebrating the artwork that she has hanging on her walls. People that we can, a businessman who's a realtor in the area here, and he is used to controlling situations. So going in and still letting him feel power and control in how his services are rendered.
And if people that are listening in that don't know families and others that are afflicted with dementia or Alzheimer's, it is a real challenge for these families to allow them and afford these loved ones that they have to live these productive lives.
Right. When people talk about dementia or Alzheimer's disease, they assume that just means they're forgetful or they may not recognize who the family is. But so much more goes along with that. If a person is bored during the day or overstimulated during the day, you can see behavioral problems that come along with it. So affording them the opportunity to have productive and meaningful things throughout the day means that we're looking at the whole person and not just memory issues.
And it's interesting. You talk about the whole person, and for the lay person that doesn't really understand this disease, these people are real people inside. They've lived real lives. Just because you are afflicted with this disease doesn't mean that they need to be institutionalized. And I think that there's a perception out there that, oh no, this person's going this way. They're having dementia, advanced dementia, maybe possible Alzheimer's. They need to be put into a facility, and that's so far from the truth.
Right. There's so much that we can do for a person at home, and it's better for everyone to stay home. Nobody wakes up someday and says, I think I'm going to go over to the memory care.
Right. And the nice thing, too, is that we have options. Mm-hmm. I want to talk more about this. Michelle, it's amazing. The first segment's almost over. We're coming up on a break, and as you can hear, you hear a little bit of Eric Clapton going on. on. But if you're just tuning in, I've got Michelle Toft from Cypress Home Care Solutions. She's talking about this new dementia Alzheimer's program. We're up against a break. We will be right back.
When it comes to your money, retirement, and how to best manage it, you can count on the team of local experts at Netzel Financial to keep an eye out for you and your interest. Time has showed us over and over again that more gets done and less slips through the cracks when work is accomplished as a team. That's why Netzel Financial and Val Vista Capital Management have merged, forming a truly integrated full-service financial firm. Jim Gentrup of Val Vista can now be heard Tuesdays at 9 a.m. on Talking Money with Steve Netzel and brings over a decade of experience as a chartered financial analyst to Netzel Financial. This makes what is already one of the best financial firms in the state even better. Don't take chances with your retirement income. Give Steve, Jim, Matt Mundy, or any of the professionals at Netzel Financial a call at 480-219-0657. Don't just manage your portfolio, help it grow. Call Netzel Financial today at 480-219-0657. That's 480-219-0657. Or visit netzelfinancial.com.
There's been a lot of talk lately about our tax laws. How would you like to tell the state of Arizona you want to give to a nonprofit charity and have your donation take the place of your state taxes? Isn't that a lot more attractive than the current system? This is Ken Morgan, and I'm really excited that through aztaxcredit.org you have the opportunity to give to one of several charities, and you'll receive a dollar-for-dollar tax credit. All you have to do is go online to aztaxcredit.org, choose one of the worthy charities listed there, and click on the link to their website. Then make a gift to that charity, and for your donation, you'll receive a tax credit, not just a deduction, of up to $800 for a couple or $400 for an individual. This tax credit is actually available to anyone with income filing taxes in Arizona. Too good to be true? Nope. You can tell the state you want your tax dollars to go to charity. Go to aztaxcredit.org. That's aztaxcredit.org. At last, paying your taxes will feel so good.
Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer is the top choice of doctors and nurses nationwide and should be yours. With one scan to the forehead, Exergen Temporal Scanner provides an accurate temperature stress-free. Available at Toys R Us and Babies R Us.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you're just tuning in, I've got Michelle Toft from Cypress Home Care Solutions talking about this new dementia Alzheimer's program that we have. And if you missed the first segment, you can catch it up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. And you click on the button up on the top that says radio show, or halfway down, click on the radio mic. You can listen to this show, and you can listen to about 80 others that we've been bringing to you since January 2014. It's hard to believe it's December 4th, 2015, and time is just flying. And, you know, this is the time of year, holiday season, where we recognize our loved ones may be having some challenges, and especially our aging loved ones. And certainly, you know, if you're at the Christmas table, or, you know, you're celebrating Hanukkah or whatever holiday you're celebrating and loved ones are together, and you're listening in right now, you should be observant of behaviors. Definitely look for the behaviors. Look at, you know, their physical appearance. You know, make sure they're practicing good hygiene. You know, look for signs of maybe needing some assistance. Oftentimes we get caught up with our young ones around the holidays, and we should be mindful of our seniors and our aging adult population. Specifically, if you're going to have someone at the house, I strongly urge you to just, from a safety standpoint, take a look. Make sure there's no throw rugs that can be tripped over, some corner coffee tables that, you know, may be obstructing. You may have some clutter around the house. You want to pick up things, because things that we take for granted could become easily issues for our aging adult population, where an accident or a challenge may introduce itself. So, Michelle, I want to get back into what we were talking about. We were talking about our aging adult population, we were talking about dementia, and we were talking about Alzheimer's. And I got to tell you, so many people don't realize that dementia and Alzheimer's are different.
Right.
Even I get very, very confused. Can you walk us through what the difference is between dementia and Alzheimer's?
Dementia is a set of symptoms that go along with a cognitive disorder, memory loss, but it may or may not impair a person's daily life. Alzheimer's disease is a type of dementia. There are lots of types of dementia. You can have dementia because of Parkinson's disease or because of what they call Lewy body dementia or frontal temporal dementia, lots of reasons for dementia. Alzheimer's disease makes up about 60 to 80% of all dementias. So I compare it to things like cancer. Mm-hmm. When you say cancer, that's equivalent to dementia, and then there are types of cancer. Well, Alzheimer's disease is a type of dementia. About half of the people diagnosed with Alzheimer's type dementia have only Alzheimer's type dementia, but the other half have mixed dementias where they might also have dementia related to Parkinson's disease or related to something else. So we're talking about a lot of folks. 2015, they said 5.3 million Americans have Alzheimer's type dementia.
Wow. And that's only people that have been diagnosed.
And that's only people diagnosed, and that's only Alzheimer's type. So there's another 20 to 40% with other dementias that aren't in that figure.
So we could be looking at close to 10 million people.
Absolutely.
In our society. And you and I both know this because we've seen it with our own clients. Many of them are high functioning and living in our society every single day, driving vehicles, going to the grocery store,
right?
You name it. And I would imagine that our listening audience is like, what?
Yeah.
No, really.
Living alone.
Living alone.
Don't have any support in the home. Lots of family support or outside support, but they are managing every day. And these are folks that are at risk for safety because of things like driving, but also mismanaging medications, financially being taken advantage of because they're willing to go into the bank and take out $1,000 for that nice man down the street who needs some money and not remember that it ever happened.
Well, and I will tell you that we have a client that I went and visited the other day, and unfortunately he got a phone call a couple months ago from somebody that appeared to be his grandson. Mm-hmm. And the grandson was in Mexico, and he was in jail, and told, he said, you want me to call your father? And this gentleman was his grandfather. He said, no, please don't tell Dad, don't tell Mom. I need to get out, and they need $1,800 wired to me. And what did he do? He went to the bank and got $1,800. He's high functioning, that he can drive by himself. He went to Western Union and wired it over.
And I hear stories like that every day. And it's usually small enough amounts that the family doesn't notice or doesn't pay attention to. And it's the person who says, yes, I can come clean your house every week, and they show up and don't really do anything, but they still collect $150 a week.
Right.
And it's just ongoing. Or the person who says, oh, but my kids need some extra money, so can I just borrow $5,000 for you for my child's surgery, and then never pay it back.
It's really, it blows my mind. I serve on the task force against senior abuse with the Arizona Attorney General's office, and these scams are happening every day. If you have a loved one that you know is living in isolation, it is challenged with memory care issues, and we'll leave it at memory care issues because it could be any kind of a form of memory care issue, you need to be on notice, and you need to maybe think about disconnecting their landline phone because that's the phone that you typically get those telephone solicitations, although they are now using cell phones too.
Right. Yeah, and it's watching the funds, getting on accounts as a co-signer or joint on the account, just so that you can watch and see what's going on, see how much cash they're withdrawing, and making sure that it's a reasonable amount. It's doing other safety checks in the home, looking for cleaning solutions. They're both bleach and ammonia in the house, because I'm seeing increased incidence of people mixing them, not remembering that this morning I tried to clean with one, and now this afternoon I'm using the other, and the fumes overwhelm a person.
Wow.
So those types of things that you don't think of, that just check in the house and make sure they're safe.
You gave us some statistics. 5.3 million Americans have this disease, and the experts are saying in the next 15 years, soon to be 14 years, by 2030, we're going to have almost 16 million people with this disease in our country. costing the United States government about $1.5 trillion a year. Not just one time, 1.5, you heard it right, $trillion a year to provide care for this population.
Right, and that's only paid care. Right now, we are paying about $217.7 billion would be the equivalent pay for people who aren't receiving pay, for the family caregivers, for the neighbor who's helping out. That the amount we would be paying if their hours were acknowledged financially is huge.
You know, I've had the pleasure of having some great guests here on our show. Dr. Pierre Theriault, Dr. Jessica Langbaum. I've had Jan Doherty, all from the Banner Alzheimer's Institute. I had Dr. Marwan Sabah. You know, every one of them, especially Dr. Theriault, you know, he referred to this disease being pandemic. If we don't get a handle on this, this is going to crush us. Right.
And one of the statistics I've heard recently, too, was that of all of the 5 leading causes of death, the incidents are going down. Heart disease is decreasing. Diabetes is decreasing. Car accidents are decreasing. Alzheimer's-related death is the only one increasing.
I think it's number 5 or 6.
I think it's number 6 on the list.
Yeah, very close to being 5.
It's very close in the top 5, but the top 5 are going down.
Right.
Which means that this will hit the top 5 list because it's going up.
And I know this information is very depressing to many people that are listening, but I will tell you this. We are the hub right here in Phoenix with not only a care model like Cypress Home Care Solutions is really bringing to you for dementia, Alzheimer's, but the care models that are being created at Banner and the care models that are being created by the Alzheimer's Consortium that's right here in our backyard. I mean, we have people that are sharing information, whether it be Sun Health, whether it be the Barrows Institute down at St. Joe's, whether it be Mayo, whether it be the Banner Alzheimer's Institute. It's really exciting what's going on right here.
There's research happening here that's not happening anywhere else in the world.
Exciting. Absolutely.
Very exciting.
Absolutely exciting. So, real quickly, I know we're going to come up against a break, and we may carry it into the third segment. How did you get attracted to this field?
I have been in this field kind of by accident. 20 years ago, I was working in San Francisco at a methadone clinic with heroin addicts.
Wow.
Couldn't handle the job. It was really tough to financially be able to work there, and happened to get a quick job at a nursing home as the social worker. And while I was at that job, a position opened at another nursing home to direct their memory care unit. And the ombudsman in the area said they're already ready to offer the position to somebody else, but I'm going to talk to the administrator today and have him interview you. So I had my mother mail me a book about dementia. I read it that night. I interviewed the next day, and they offered me the position.
How many years ago was that?
About 20 years ago.
Wow.
So I really happened into it, but it's my passion. I've worked in other fields, and I absolutely love working with families of people with dementia.
And you can tell that by being around you, and I've watched you interact with those families and those patients, and really, truly, a lot of people don't realize they're alive inside. And I don't mean to steal that title for that movie that's out there called Alive Inside, but they really are alive inside. They're a human being, and we have to honor that, and we have to give them the respect that they so deserve. As you can hear, we're up against a break. My name is Bob Roth. You're listening to Health Futures. I got Michelle Toft from Cypress Home Care Solutions here with us. We will be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Special report, California shooting, ISIS connection. The FBI has just made an announcement at a press conference in San Bernardino, California. David Bowditch of the FBI.
As of today, based on the information and the facts as we know them, we are now investigating these horrific acts as an act of terrorism.
A law enforcement official says the woman shooter, Tashfeen Malik, had pledged her support of the Islamic State group and its leader on Facebook.
I can never imagine my brother or my sister-in-law doing something like this.
Syra Khan, sister of San Bernardino shooter Syed Farouk, spoke to CBS News.
They were happily married. They have a beautiful 6-month-old daughter. It's just mind-boggling why they would do something like that.
The pair reportedly stockpiled 12 pipe bombs, tools to make explosives, and well over 4,500 rounds of ammunition at their apartment. The couple died in a shootout with police, but not before taking 14 lives. I'm John.
For some time now, I've been offering tips about how to deal with the IRS if you've fallen behind on your taxes. Telling you to call Optima Tax Relief because they're the best trained, most trustworthy, blah, blah, and blah. But now the message is so familiar, you may not be listening. Oh, it's him again. Well, here's the important message. Call Optima Tax Relief. They can help you resolve your IRS issues. The government, can garnish your wages. They can levy your bank account, even take your home or business. To be fair, the IRS also has a new program called the Fresh Start Initiative to help you with that debt. So we've given you clever slogans. Don't mess with the IRS. They'd rather settle for less than bother you more. Now the clever thing for you to do is call Optima Tax Relief now for your free consultation.
Call 800-956-6166. 800-956-6166. 800-956-6166. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
While others hint at it,
you don't need to hear things like that.
Here the money talk comes first. Why? Because we are Money Radio.
Most of the listeners of the station have a mortgage of some type. My question is, why? My name is Joe Capitano, Senior Vice President, Homeowners Financial Group. Think of what life would be like if you didn't have a mortgage. That extra cash each month to enjoy or to invest. And I can show you how to eliminate that mortgage in a fraction of the time without changing any of your current spending habits. It's so simple, it'll just amaze you. Call me today and let me get you back on the road to financial freedom. The interest savings alone could put your kids through college or maybe fund your retirement. Call me, Joe Capitano, 480-305-8545, 480-305-8545, or just go to joeloans.com. Bank number 090-6222, MLS number 9826, Equal Housing Lender. That's Joe Capitano, 480-305-8545. That's Joe Capitano, 480-305-8545, 480-305-8545, or just go to joeloans.com.
Every investor has their own unique financial fingerprint, each with their own unique concerns.
Concern that I have is that I'm not going to have enough money for retirement.
At Lucia Capital Group, we hear your biggest concerns.
Taxes and retirement. Taxes are already biting us pretty good.
Retirement in today's economy can be overwhelming.
Most of my 401k is in a high-risk investment. I'm concerned about that.
If you're worried about outliving your money, the unpredictability of the stock market, or risks associated with inflation, call Lucia Capital Group for a complimentary plan review. Learn how the bucket strategy is designed to provide opportunities for diversification and investment options in a low-interest rate environment. Schedule a consultation at no cost by calling 800-644-1150, 800-644-1150, or visit luciacap.com. luciacap.com.
Securities offered through Lucia Securities LLC, member FINRA SIPC, a subsidiary of Lucia Capital Group, an affiliate of Lucia Wealth Services. The strategy involves investment subject to risk.
Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer is a must-have for all busy parents. With one scan to the forehead, Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer takes your child's temperature quickly and accurately. Available at Walmart.
I'm Bruce Vail with Your Money Now. First Data Corp said it experienced an outage this morning that affected the authorization of transactions made on certain credit cards and debit cards. The scope of the outage was not immediately known, but issuers including PNC Financial and SunTrust Banks both said their cards had been affected by a processing glitch. People quickly took to social media to complain about their cards being denied. The Supreme Court said it will examine Puerto Rico's effort to restructure some of its debt. The U.S. Commonwealth passed its own bankruptcy law to discharge debts owed to utility bondholders. Lower courts ruled that Puerto Rico had no authority to restructure debts unilaterally. Stocks are higher today as the market is getting a boost from a strong November jobs report. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is ahead 327 points. The Nasdaq Composite is up 90 points. The S&P 500 is up 35 points. That's Your Money Now.
It's panic time. The boss just asked you when that new building will be completed, and you haven't even started yet. Well, don't panic. Call the name you know, General Steel. You've known General Steel for decades, and you know they'll save you about half the cost and about half the time of conventional construction. But did you know that General Steel has provided buildings for some of the biggest names in business and government? And did you know the General can provide pre-construction planning services for your total project? And I'll bet you didn't know you can get General Steel quality and save thousands. For example, a 40-foot by 60-foot building for under $22,000, or a 50 by 100 for under $35,000. That's right, 5,000 square feet for under $35,000, and all with General Steel's 50-year structural warranty. So don't panic. Call now and lock in some of the lowest prices this year. 866-95-STEEL. Call 866-95-STEEL today. Quick, the boss is coming. That's 866-957-8335.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth, and you're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. We're up on our third segment. If you're just tuning in, I've got Michelle Toft from Cypress Home Care Solutions, who is our dementia expert, who is running this new dementia Alzheimer's program that is revolutionizing the way care is being delivered in the home. If you missed the first two segments, I encourage you to go out to our website, cypresshomecare.com, and click on the radio show button up on the very top or midway down the homepage, and you can hear these first two segments and about 80 others. You know, one of the things that's really interesting, Michelle, is that recently, through the Shriver Report, and many of our listening audience knows that Maria Shriver is very connected to this disease because her father, Sergeant Shriver, had this disease, and she is one of those advocates out there that is talking to many, including our United States government, about how we need to find resources to find a cure. One of the things that came out were the numbers relative to women who have this disease. And I want to share with our listening audience some facts and figures, and I would love to have you react to this, Michelle, is that, 1, 10 million women either have Alzheimer's or are caring for someone with it. Women constitute about 2/3 of those that have Alzheimer's disease, 6% of the caregivers for those who have it. 1/3 of the women caregivers are 24/7 for the person with Alzheimer's. Let me repeat that, 24/7. That means they're caring for someone that they love and care about 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Nearly 40% say that they had no choice in becoming that caregiver. The societal impact of Alzheimer's disease on our government and families today is $300 billion. And I think I shared with our listening audience in about 14 years, it's going to be about $1.5 trillion. And almost 2/3 of all working caregivers report having to go into work late, leave early, or take time off to provide care. It's, as I said before, Dr. Terrio says it's pandemic. This is crushing our society. So not only do women have a higher incidence of having this disease, but they make up our workforce as it relates to caregivers. It's the perfect storm.
It is the perfect storm. And we're seeing, when you say that Alzheimer's is typically diagnosed after the age of 65. That means that some folks are still working, and now we have a working caregiver, or the majority of folks are over 75. Now you're talking about children who are still working. And so if you have a child who is still working, figure around 55 years old, because mom or dad is around 75 years old. That means that they're usually still trying to support their 25-year-old child or help taking care of some new grandkids at the same time. That sandwich generation we've heard so much about recently.
Absolutely.
If you have the female caregiver taking care of a spouse, we're still seeing a generation where women haven't managed the finances before. Some have never driven before. They don't know who to call when the plumbing has issues or when there's a roof problem. And they're relying on their loved one who has memory issues to still be able to try to get them through some of this process. And then the other thing about women is that we traditionally don't take care of ourselves because we're busy taking care of somebody else. So they ignore their own health symptoms because they can't leave that 24/7 job to get themselves to the doctor's office to look at the symptoms that they have. So they're hospitalized more frequently than non-caregivers.
It is amazing. And we talk about the primary roles of the male in the household, and I'm talking about the traditional husband and wife.
And that's what we're still seeing in these generations.
Exactly. And I know of a family back where I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, where the family had amassed a substantial wealth. The father, the patriarch, went into the financial service world and was afflicted with this disease for a long time before they even noticed, and lost everything.
Right.
Lost it all.
And she
lost
had
it all
no idea.
She had no idea. And the family, economically is crushed because nobody was minding the store other than that person that had the disease. It is really, really a challenge for our society, and I want our listening audience to listen in and just think of your own family or families that you may know where some of the behaviors may have changed. And that's why I'm talking about the holidays are a great time to be recognizing this. There's something that we call in our space, we call it looping. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the first signs we see, beside maybe hygiene and taking care of yourself or possibly bumps and bruises. It was where they tell the stories and say or ask questions repetitively over and over again.
Right. And we see that looping, and that's where, especially if you're in a crowd of folks at a dinner table during the holidays, that you'll see it more frequently because they don't remember if they've told you the story or told somebody else the story. But most of us would normally remember that. That's a sign of a memory issue. Things like not remembering what cupboard the cups might be in or the plates are in. Not changing shirts, but where they might have changed between meals before, made themselves look like now we just don't pay attention to those things.
And for our listening audience, if you are long distance with your loved one, most of people that have dementia or Alzheimer's are fully aware that they are forgetful. And if you have mom or dad or your loved one on the phone and they're rushing you off the phone, there's a reason why they're rushing you off the phone.
Or if they say the exact same thing every conversation. I hear all of the time from families, well, no, they remember they haven't talked to me in a week. No, they've told you that every conversation you've had since you left for college 30 years ago. That's typical for them to say, oh, I haven't talked to you all week. How are you doing?
Right.
That's just a rote answer. It's not something that they're really thinking about.
No, exactly. And, the other thing, while we're talking about women, the one thing that I've seen, Michelle, is I've seen, higher incidences for me to see younger adults with dementia. And I'm talking about 40-year-olds.
Right. In Arizona, there are about 120,000 people with all dementias. Now, when you look at the overall United States, there are 200,000 with early onset before the age of 65. We're seeing people who are 45, still have kids at home in high school, and they can't go to the football games anymore. They can't go to the school functions. They don't remember to pick the kids up after school. And that disease tends to progress a lot quicker than these other 120,000 that are over the age of 65 in Arizona.
It's interesting you say that. I've had the pleasure of being the memory care chair for the Alzheimer's Association back in the early 2000s for 4 years, and I will never forget. We have a kickoff, usually about 200 people that come in to really promote the event about 6 weeks before, and we had someone speak that had early onset at 41 years old. There wasn't a dry eye in the place because she just recently got diagnosed, and I asked the regional director the following year if we could have her speak, and he said, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
she's too far along in the disease process.
So fast to how it progresses. And so you're talking about families that go through a huge grief process because we have somebody who's supposed to be able to do all of these things, and this isn't the life plan that they had in place.
Well, listen, we're up against a break here, and I don't want to be just sharing all this not so great news about this disease, because Cypress has some great solutions for those that are afflicted with dementia and Alzheimer's. And we're going to talk more about it when we get back. You've got Michelle Toft from Cypress Home Care Solutions. This is Bob Roth from Health Futures, taking stock in you. We will be right back.
Do you have an existing life insurance policy that you do not understand? For so many years, Wayne Cantis of the Cantis Financial Group and Office of MetLife has received phone calls from people all over America who explain to him that they simply do not understand what they've purchased from their insurance agents. Wayne wants to personally invite you to call him so that he can meet with you and review your insurance policy. He'll cover many issues like whether your policy is guaranteed or based on current assumptions, whether your policy is structured to last forever or to a stated age, whether your premiums are too high, or whether he can optimize your policy by increasing the death benefit without increasing the premiums. Call Wayne today so he can meet with you for your free, no-cost, no-obligation policy review. Call 480-ON-TAP-88. That's 480-ON-TAP-88 to reach the Cantis Financial Group. Dial 480-668-2788. Metropolitan Life Insurance Company, 200 Park Avenue, New York, New York, 10166 L10133450026, expires 1015, Arizona.
Don your red apparel and celebrate the holidays with the Phoenix chapter of the National Association of Women Business Owners, NABO, on December 9th. The Red Affair Luncheon features a raffle to help fund scholarships through the Women's Enterprise Foundation and holiday musical entertainment. NABO's Red Affair will be held at the Embassy Suites by Hilton Phoenix Scottsdale beginning at 11 a.m. To learn more, visit nabophoenix.org. That's NAWBOPHX.org. Learn how to get your estate in order Wednesday mornings at 9 on Estate Planning with attorney Matt Dana. With over 30 years of experience and expertise, Matt will share cutting-edge strategies, ideas, and tips on how to help secure your estate from life's unexpected events. Wondering how to protect and maximize your family's inheritance? Wonder no more. Listen to Estate Planning with attorney Matt Dana every Wednesday morning at 9, right here on Money Radio 1510 AM and 99.3 FM.
Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer is a must-have for all busy parents. With one scan to the forehead, Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer takes your child's temperature quickly and accurately. Available at Walmart.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. My name is Bob Roth. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And we are on our fourth segment. I got Michelle Toft here in the studio, and how appropriate to have Glenn Campbell bring us into the very last segment. He's a popular guy here in Arizona, and one that is recognized recently as having this disease, and it affects everybody. It doesn't it doesn't choose and pick selective people. Unfortunately, if you have family history, you have a chance of having this disease. It is genetic. We know it. We know that there's genes that they look for, the scientists look for. For us, it's about providing hope at Cypress Home Care Solutions. And I will tell you, I know these last couple segments, if you've been listening to the show, the entire show, it's somewhat depressing because the statistics are pretty daunting. But at the same time, I'm proud here today to tell you that we have created a dementia Alzheimer's program that gives families hope. And at Cypress Home Care Solutions, my family created Cypress nearly 22 years ago to provide compassionate care into clients' homes. We saw the need to provide well-trained caregivers, so we created a training lab about 11 years ago. And not only do we train caregivers, but we train families in the skill building of caring, if you would, and caregiving. But we also saw the need to create a dementia Alzheimer's program because we saw so many families out there that were really facing a lot of challenges. And, while we provide care with caregivers, we also knew that there's that family caregiver that's doing the 24/7 numbers that we shared in our last segment. So we wanted to give them the tools. And I wanted you, if you would, Michelle, share with us what we're doing now at Cypress. I know we talked a little bit at the top of the show, but share with our listening audience what we're doing.
Okay. I am given the opportunity to go into a home and to teach a family member the skills that they need to be able to give quality of life to their loved one by providing some structure and routine, by giving a lot of support to that family member. So dementia is about learning how to communicate in a new way. It's about learning how to redirect or distract, or as a caregiver, how to handle the stress of answering the same question over and over and over again. And how do we do this? And I had a family that I worked with a long time ago who said, you just have some Michelle-isms and teach me the Michelle-isms. How do I do that? And so it's teaching them how to do that, how to say it so that you're still providing respect to the person who's diagnosed and sanity to yourself at the same time. It's an amazing program where we use a variety of teaching tools. There's a book that families can read. There's online videos that they can watch. But because it's in the home, it's really individualized. So we live, like you said, in a great place that has amazing resources for folks with dementia. There are wonderful, wonderful training classes out in the community. This I get to do in your home.
And the nice thing is that one of the things that you train people, and I'm talking about the family members, is to be in their world, not yours, right?
Right. That's what's hardest for families, is to readjust their reality to what the person's reality is.
Right. If they think it's 1959,
then let's find the good in 1959 and turn on some great rock and roll and start dancing in the living room.
Well, the Beatles didn't start in 59. I think it was like 60-something, but that's okay. I get what you're saying.
Get some music going, right.
Well, it's encouraging, and we have been out with this program for a couple months now, and I know you have gotten some great responses. And can you share with us, some of the responses you've gotten to this program? Because we're full bore on this thing, in this month and the months to come, and we've seen some early successes.
We have, and families are absolutely amazed that we can provide caregivers that understand the person and will live in their world. Right now, everybody that we have enrolled in this program doesn't think they have a caregiver coming into their home. They have the friend of a daughter coming into their home to help them out. They have a new neighbor who's just coming over to visit a couple times a week. And while we're there, we can monitor the medications, make sure they're eating well, help clean up the house, change the sheets, do the laundry, help them run their errands. And we're doing this all in a way that they're happy to accept into their homes. Nobody wants a caregiver coming in, taking care of them. I'm an adult. I can do it myself. And so we're doing it on that end for the person diagnosed. And for the families, I have one of our clients who has what they call her village. She has a group of wonderful ladies who have been friends for a long time, and they all help, but they don't understand the disease process yet. So helping them understand what she's going through, helping them understand why she does what she's doing, it helps them adjust to her world. It helps them accept a little bit better what she's going through and be able to respond to her in a way that doesn't upset her.
You talk about Michelle-isms. Michelle, I view you as a coach, because that's really what you are. You're a coach to that village. You're a coach to that spouse that's there, the adult child.
Absolutely. And it's an amazing program because I get to provide it in the home. But when there's a problem, they can call me. There's even a tablet that they can use to fill out and get me information in an instant. So I know that something happened, something was different, and there was a problem that we were going through. And then the whole village can look at what's going on that tablet and know, without having to call 6 people, what she went through that day.
And certainly those activities, you talk about that structure that we try to create for that loved one in their home. We want to make them be them and not be, somebody that sits in front of that blue screen of death, if you would, and watching the Fox News over and over again, or watching Jeopardy. I mean, we want them to be engaged. And typically, if we have them engaged and we have them in the structure, if you would, if all of a sudden they become agitated and they don't participate, we know something's going on.
Right. And we can, activities people view as something, well, they would never want to do an activity. We have to restructure our mind to know that an activity is anything that they participate in throughout the day. So instead of us just putting the dishes away because it's quicker for us to put the dishes away, we need to reframe our thinking and know that we can help them put the silverware away. And that's an activity. It's good for their mind to continue to do that. It's good for their soul to still have meaning. And it's good for us to have somebody to still help out around the house.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And, you know, I know I've shared this statistic before, but when we have 65-year-old couples, if you would, aging adults that are caring for one another, 63% of the time the caregiver predeceases the care recipient. And putting together programs like this will help ensure that the health of that caregiver, that family caregiver, is going to be a much better experience for them.
Right. They get support throughout this whole process and understanding through the process and encouragement to help reach out to family members. We can help them know the words to say if they want to communicate this with the kids or somebody else, because sometimes that's uncomfortable. They don't want to tell the family exactly what's going on in the home. Or, like we talked about earlier, they don't see it nearly as bad as it really is.
So if you want to learn more about this program, reach out to Michelle Toft at Cypress Home Care Solutions. You can reach her at 602-264-8009. You're welcome to email her at Michelle, and that's with 2 L's. That's MICHELLE at cypresshomecare.com. You know, we just have under a minute left, and I kicked off the show talking about caregivers. Please share with our listening audience how important caregivers are to this whole process.
Caregivers are the basis of everything that we do. You don't have to have previous experience to be a caregiver. You have to have a good heart. I can teach you the skills if you care about people. If you want to really give back to the community and be rewarded yourself. Obviously financial rewards, but there's so many heart rewards that go along with being a caregiver. We couldn't do it without some really great folks out there.
And you talked about being in their world, and our caregivers are in their world. And if you're listening right now and you have a friend, family member, neighbor, or maybe it's just you that wants to make a difference, the Best Of show that I played 2 weeks ago was a gentleman that was in the banking business. He was a football coach in the HR business, and he finds it incredibly rewarding to help our aging adult population. We're up at the end of the show, Michelle. Thank you so much for being on our show. You're listening to Health Futures Taking Stock in You. It's been a great pleasure to have Michelle Toft from Cypress Home Care. Make it a great day. Have a great weekend.
No place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress Home Care Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit cypresshomecare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Market Wrap with Mo Ansari is your daily source for financial news and analysis. With over 30 years of trading experience, Mo shares his thoughts on the markets, answers your financial questions, and features guest experts from around the world covering a variety of investment topics. Visit MarketWrapWithMo.com for more info about the show and listen to Market Wrap with Mo Ansari.
And 99.3 FM.
Is KFNN Mesa Phoenix and K257CD Phoenix, reminding you that heading into a new year, you need a plan, a financial plan. And that's what Wayne Candace provides every Wednesday at noon right here on Money Radio. The Dow is up 373 points now. The S&P 500 up 42. The NASDAQ up 105.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news. And we begin now.